Hey guys, Mr. Strom here. Just wanted to give you a video that you can use and kind of walk through the von Thunen model. This is something that is a part of Unit 5. So I'm just going to kind of walk through this a little bit. And if you wanted to have this up and go over it while I'm covering the slides, you can do that. Or if you just want to take some notes, you can. So we're going to cover the von Thunen model. Okay, and again, this is going with Unit 5 Agriculture. Okay, so who was von Thunen? He was a German farmer and economist who wrote down his ideas in 1826. So think about what's going on in 1826. We're not too far removed from the Industrial Revolution taking hold in Europe, at least the first wave. Um, and so kind of think of how that relates to what is going to shape his worldview. Okay, German farmer, economist, and he's writing down his ideas in 1826. So he notices that one crop, also known as a commodity, gives way to another as one moved away from the market. And then in parentheses, you see city. Okay, so in this idea, market and city are going to be kind of interchangeable terms. So each market or city has its own concentric rings around it. Now, concentric rings are going to be like circles upon circles. So it'll be like an outermost circle, an innermost circle, and then kind of going on and getting closer and closer. Think of it like Russian nesting dolls. Okay, so he also noticed that farmers near the market produce very different things than farmers far away from the market. So let's remember this assumptions of the model. Now, if you forgot from class, when we're talking about models, it's just a model. Okay, so first and foremost, a model is just a model. It doesn't mean it is exact. It doesn't mean that every single time it's going to be this way. It just means it's a model and it's something that you can kind of build off and kind of create ideas from. So, first and foremost, it's a model. The market is a central isolated state, and the isolated state is surrounded by a forest. So outside of that, the terrain is homogeneous, flat, and an isotropic plane. So it's got no rivers or no mountains. So basically, in this model, there's no geographical issues surrounding the layout. So it's a perfect scenario. Okay. In a real world scenario, you would have rivers, you would have mountains, you would have some other sort of geographic barriers. But in this, there are no barriers to transport for farmers to bring their goods to market. Again, in this model, soils and climates are even and consistent. And we know that is not realistic. Again, this is just a model. So farmers behave rationally to maximize profits. That, again, is being very optimistic. In a real world scenario, not everyone's going to behave rationally. Okay, so this is the classic model. Just kind of notice this is what I was talking about with the concentric rings. Okay, now you can kind of tell that from this is our center point. This is the central city or the market. Outermost ring is going to be the ranching kind of animal products, grazing areas. Closest here, outside of the central city, we've got intensive farming, dairying. I mean, if you think about it, of course, you would have dairy farms located close to the central city because dairy does not tend to keep well. Does, that's kind of an idea you have to think. It's like the markets that are being closer or used closer to the central city are there for a reason. So dairy would be closer to the market because it tends to spoil faster than you would say animals that are living outside of that. Okay. So in addition to that, we've also got increasingly intensive field crops. And then we have forest outside of that as well. Now here's a more modernized look. This is probably going to make it a little bit more, um, I guess, relatable. Something that you could kind of see in your head. On the left, we've got the model, so the perfect world, perfect scenario that's not realistic. And then on the right, we've got what the model would look like if it was modified by river. So notice here we've got the central city, we've got the horticulture and dairying, forestry right here, crop rotation here, outermost ring, grazing, and then three field crop rotation, and then enclosed fields right here. Okay, and then this is kind of another way to look at it. This is just a graph. But notice on the flip side, you can kind of see where the concentric rings go together. Okay, so you get the central city right here, dairying, farming, outermost ring, distance from market, that would be the grazing for the animals. So think of this too. On this graph, we have the profit of the market kind of dictating how close the proximity is to the central city market. So main factors of von Thunen: land rent or cost equals bid rent. So bid rent is going to be a huge factor in that. Think about it. You're trying to turn a profit. So something I was talking about yesterday, whenever I was going over in Google Meet some of the stuff from Unit 5. Unit 5 connects to other parts of the human geography curriculum because the big idea that's going to connect it here, you think agriculture and you're thinking farming probably. You also have to think about agriculture from a economic perspective. How are we going to be able to make money? How is that going to affect where we put our cities? Okay, so land rent or cost equals bid rent. That's going to be a part of this. Okay, agriculture, you have to turn a profit. So you gotta figure out the best place to put land. How can we maximize that? Labor cost, that's a big deal too. How much are we going to pay people to do labor? Transportation costs. So transportation distance to markets. How's that going to affect it? Production cost. What all goes into the production? We'll say just in this instance, dairy farming. What goes into that process? What are the materials you use? Do you use a carton? Or do you use a plastic milk jug? Like there's a lot of different variables there. Okay, so von Thunen's about price of land. So think distance to CBD or hinterland. So CBD is Central Business District. Okay, I know we use a lot of acronyms in this class, but CBD just means Central Business District. Okay, distance to CBD or hinterland, so like outermost lands. Von Thunen's about distance to market, transportation costs, bulk weight, etc. Trying to maximize that. Like, what is the best possible way, most effective way we can move product from that where we're at to the market, and what's going to be grown in there. And then also perishability. Perishability is just the idea of products tend to degrade over time. Produce has a very high perishability rate. That's why you tend to see produce that doesn't last. Typically, depending on what kind of produce you're getting, doesn't tend to last more than a week. Okay, if we're talking apples, they could be 10 days. Bananas, probably like 5 or 6 days. It just tends to vary. Fragility, so how fragile your items are. Think about this. You can bruise a tomato pretty easily. You can bruise an avocado pretty easily. And then the specialty, so more like specialty markets. Again, avocados would be a good example there. Not really made in the U.S., not really grown in the U.S. outside of certain portions of California. But think about specialty fruits or specialty produce. Like, do we really grow a whole lot of pineapples in the U.S.? Not really. And then the organic nature. So organic just refers to, are there genetic modifications being done to grow the plants? Okay, so let's look at the classic model again. Like I said, this is a perfect world. This is a bit unrealistic for us to use, though. Okay, it's a model, just a model, and I want you to kind of keep that in your head. So modern usefulness of von Thunen, what's changed? So refrigeration and freezing, that's changed a lot. 1826, did they have refrigeration? No, they did not. Preservatives, vacuum packing, canning, chemical and natural preservatives, that's changed a lot. So it changes the idea of the perishability of food. Okay, modern transportation, are we able to ship stuff faster than we used to? Yes, absolutely. Flowers are flown into New York from the Caribbean every day. Well, at least they used to be before coronavirus. That might have changed. Factories and agribusiness or industrial agriculture. That's a huge thing that didn't exist in 1826. They didn't have huge farms where they were producing all this stuff. And where do farmers markets fit into von Thunen's model? So here's an article. This is back from February 14th, 2016. So your flowers just might be from Kenya. I've asked a couple. Well, I really need to ask all of you to just kind of look in your pantry or look at the different produce that you might have in your house and just note where it comes from. More often than not, it's not going to be from the US. A lot of our stuff is coming from overseas. It's coming from Africa, it's coming from the Caribbean, Mexico. I mean, it's coming from all over. And again, that refers to just the idea of globalization uh, changing the marketplace. So even your flowers are grown in, right? Now, this is pretty interesting. Side by side with suburban housing, just north of the Kumin and Yunnan province, these greenhouses grow high value crops such as fruits and vegetables in the relatively mild climate. Crops are raised year round. So look at this. You have land, people just living in these houses. And then over here, you've got all of these little greenhouses where people are growing stuff because it's high value crops. Okay, so that's kind of relating back to agribusiness. So here's a really good one too. Really good graphic for you guys to look at. Well-traveled salad. Notice all the different places that all these things are coming from. Lettuce, mostly coming from North America, Mexico, Peru, USA. Tomatoes, mostly coming from, let's see here, USA, Mexico. Then we got Italy, Israel, Holland, Dominican Republic. What about, let's see here, croutons pretty much coming from all parts of the world. Cucumbers, I think most people would kind of be surprised that you would get some from Honduras or India. Um, I mean, that's just something to look at, something to fall back. So this is kind of an interesting thing to bring up, especially right now. Something I wanted to kind of bring up. Victory gardens. Victory gardens are something that was done in World War II whenever we had to put a lot of the resources, a lot of the major farms were putting their produce was going towards feeding soldiers. So victory gardens were grown by people in their backyards. And think about this. US got approximately 50% of food from victory gardens during World War II. So people just growing gardens. And the reason I bring that up is you're probably going to see a lot of people doing that during the pandemic that we're experiencing right now. You're going to see a lot of people who start growing their stuff rather than getting stuff from the grocery store. Okay, because supply is going to be limited. Farmers markets, that's a new thing. Local foods, trying to limit carbon footprint. Carbon footprint, if you remember way back in Unit 1, we talked about, just how much are we changing the earth? Okay, carbon footprint relates to like our imprint. Okay, sustainable farming and methods. So what are the five? What are the elements tied to von Thunen? Perishability, fragility, transportation, freshness, and specialized goods. And then last thing down there, organic, non-GMO. And you guys can watch this on your own. But it's kind of a funny skit from Portlandia. So here's a couple of things just kind of keep in mind too. Um, and you don't have to do this problem on your own. So we do some math in this class, but not so much that it's just like overwhelming. But the math of von Thunen, so just think about this. You want to break it down in terms of like a very understandable way to get this whole model working in your head. Locational rent is a term used by von Thunen in his argument. It's to be understood as the equivalent to land value. So it corresponds to a maximum amount a farmer could pay for using land without making losses. Okay, so again, it's all about trying to maximize profit and look at the different terms we have over here. So locational rent, yield, crop yield, market price for the crop, production cost, distance from market, transportation costs. So this is a way you can actually break down von Thunen to make a little bit more sense and to actually use it in real world terms. So people actually use this too. And if you want to do this problem on your own, you can. All right. So I've covered the whole thing. If you guys have any questions related to this, obviously you can hit me up or just send me an email or leave a comment. Just let me know. All right. Thanks.